you see today as well, there's a trend of many Christians becoming Jewish, whether converting to Judaism or becoming Noahides, or adopting Jewish practices. There are Hebrew Christians and all kinds of things like that. Even the Adventists who take upon themselves certain Jewish observances because they want to live more closely to the way Jesus would have lived and the disciples would have lived 2,000 years ago, because they were all pretty much Torah observant Jews in their day. And there's a funny story. When I was in the army, I was in the army, in the Canadian Army, for a couple of years. And every time, I would try to keep Jewish laws as much as possible over there, and especially like when it came to food, I wouldn't eat any of the meat stuff. I would just eat, vegetarian and eggs and things like that. So every time we'd line up to get food, I'd always ask, is there meat in this? Is this whatever, pork? And then there was one other guy who would do the same thing. He'd always ask. He would always avoid the pork. And I thought that he was Jewish. And his name was kind of Jewish sounding. So I just always assumed that he was Jewish, that we were the only two Jews in this whole big basic training thing. And one day we were on like a night guard patrol together. It's the middle of the night. You're just like patrolling the base. So we talked. It was in March, right before Purim. So I asked him, what are you doing for Purim? He's like, what's Purim? I'm like, Purim, the holiday. He's like, I don't know what that is. I said, well, aren't you Jewish? He says, no. And I said, well, what are you? But the whole thing with the pork and everything. And he's like, no, he's Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist. Right? So they don't eat pork, they don't eat shellfish, they keep the kosher laws of the Torah, at least according to the Torah, not the rabbinic laws, but at least the laws in the Torah. And they keep Shabbat on Saturday, as they're supposed to, because most Christians keep the Sabbath on Sunday, but that's not the proper way. I mean, according to the Torah itself, it should be Saturday, so they keep Shabbat on Saturday. And so that's just like an example of a movement, of a recent movement within Christianity that's become more and more popular, of trying to be more Torah observant, even among Christians. So there's a lot more in common than we think. We have the same core values. And so when people often ask me this question, do you think the term Judeo-Christian is accurate? People talk about Judeo-Christian values. It is accurate, because at the core, we actually have the same set of values. There's really just one major difference between us, and that's what results in all the other differences. There's one root philosophical difference, which is whether the Messiah has come or not. And in short, as Martin Buber summarized it, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, to the Christian, the Jew is this like stubborn person who refuses to accept that the Messiah has come. And to the Jew, the Christian is the naive person who thinks that the Messiah has come, that the Redeemer has come, when the world is so obviously unredeemed. Like, how can you say that we're in the messianic age when the world is so evil and so corrupt, and that the Satan is stronger than ever, especially today when there's so much immorality? Where is this is not the messianic age. There's so much suffering and war and idolatry and all kinds of things, and greed and evil. So to us, it's obvious that we're not in the messianic age. And so that's basically the key philosophical difference between us, whether the Messiah has come or not. And over time, we just grew so far apart. We say that Yaakov and Esau, we say that Yaakov is Israel, it's the representative of the Jewish people, the forefather, our forefather, and we say Esau, his twin brother, is Edom, is the Christian world, and they're like these twin brothers, and yet they seem to be enemies, but they have like this love-hate relationship. They come together. Yaakov flees from Esau. Esau's always just trying to like reconcile with his brother, but he also like sometimes wants to kill him. Sometimes he loves him. Sometimes he's after him. He chases after him. Sometimes he kisses him and hugs him. So it's this like weird love-hate relationship. And I think Yaakov and Esau are meant to ultimately come together at the end. And actually we have commentaries that say that. If you remember when Yaakov came back to Israel and Esau came and greeted him, Yaakov thought he's going to get ready for war here. And Esau greeted him very warmly. And Esau said, come with me, come to my home, and we have plenty and I'll take care of you. And Yaakov says, yeah, listen, you go ahead and I'll catch up with you later, And he never did. He never went there. He never went to Seir, to the land of Edom. So did he lie? No, he didn't lie. So our commentaries say he couldn't have lied. What he said was, eventually, in the end of days, I will come and be with you. And so one day we will reunite Yaakov and Esau. And in fact, even in this week's Parsha, Parashat Naso, where it talks about the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing, the Birkat Kohanim, of course, ends with, what are the last words of Birkat Kohanim? Vayasem lecha shalom. And the Baal HaTurim comments there, he says, Shalom, the Gematria of Shalom is 376. And the Baal HaTurim says that's the exact same Gematria as Esav, which is weird. Why would the word for peace, shalom, have the same value as Esau? And he says, because Jews have to spread peace to everybody, including Esau, right? And we're meant to make peace. Don't think that Esau is your enemy. You're meant to make peace even with Esau. Right? That's why shalom is 376, like Esau.